Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here to recognize Miss Sarah Koo, and so thank you very much for this honor. Poetry Out Loud is a national competition that encourages students to engage with poetry through memorization and recitation. Student participants master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and learn about their literary heritage. Students memorize and recite 3 poems and advance from competitions at the classroom or school level all the way to nationals. And I am very pleased to say that our very own graduate, Sarah Koo, advanced all the way to nationals. This spring, she was the North High champion, the St. Louis County Regional champion, and the Missouri State Poetry Out Loud champion. Sarah's state win earned her a spot in the national competition in Washington, D.C., at which she made it to the 2nd of 3 rounds and placed in the top 24 in the nation. Wow. Her state recitations of Sanctuary by Jean Valentine, Lines Written in Early Spring by William Wordsworth, and In Memoriam by Martin Luther King Jr. by June Jordan can be seen on the Missouri Arts Council and Poetry Out Loud website. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Sarah Koo. Sarah, please come forward. Not only is Sarah an amazing performer of poetry, she is an amazing vocalist and also has been honored here before as an all-state vocal musician. And so congratulations to you, Sarah.
Next, I'd like to ask Patty Bedbrough, our Chief Financial Officer, and Paul Tandy, our Chief Communications Officer, if they would come to the podium.
Good evening. Before we do the recognition, Dr. Marty asked me to quickly do a little sidebar to present you with a very special honor. As you know, Parkway was named a top workplace by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch its 3rd year in a row, and that's based on a survey of employees that they have from an independent firm, and we're very proud of that. And we have a plaque that we'll put up in the administration building, but just wanted to present that formally to Dr. Marty tonight. And now into some more important matter. Tonight we would like to take a few minutes to recognize and thank our longtime friends and partners at the West County Family YMCA. And before we begin, I'd like to ask Denise Glass, Jamie Cannon, Lori McTiernan, and Kenzie Zimmer to please come forward and stand over here next to Dr. Marty. Denise is the Executive Director of the West County Y. Jamie is the Director of the Y's Teen and Family Programs. Lori is Vice President of the Association Child Care Services, and Kenzie is their Registrar. So thank you to you for joining us tonight. As most of you know, the West County Y, which is located just west of the Chesterfield Mall, has been a partner in our community for many, many years. As Patty will tell you, the Y is more than a gym. Its mission focuses on health of the entire community, and the Y indeed helps serve as a safety net for families in our region.
That's right, Paul. You know, both of us have had the pleasure of serving on the YMCA board as advisors over the past decade. In that role, we have had the opportunity to learn more about the why and the ways in which they strengthen our community. Many of us think of the Y as a place to swim or work out. But did you know that they also offer a literacy program entitled Y Read that provides services for more than 125 Parkway children? The West County Y also has a fantastic theater where children participate in plays and performances. Did you also know that the Y reaches out to families in need and provides free or reduced cost membership to families who are struggling with various issues, including cancer, unemployment, and overseas military deployment? The Y's annual giving program raises more than $100,000 each year that the proceeds go directly to provide scholarships for the families who can't afford to send their children to camps or pay for items such as the before and after school care. Without the Y, there are countless children who would miss out on these important physical and social emotional activities, or would be left at home alone before and after school. The Y is indeed an essential partner for our community.
And they've been a longtime partner in Parkway. You might be surprised to know that for 46 years, the Y has hosted Parkway Middle School students at Camp Lakewood for our outdoor school program, affectionately called Sixth Grade Camp. In fact, with the exception of the very first year of that program in 1969, our outdoor school has been held at Camp Lakewood. And those of you who've been there know that not only the facilities are fantastic, but the staff are always friendly, professional, and student-focused. And then, of course, another long-standing partnership between Parkway and the West County Y is our school-age child care program called Y Club. For 32 years, the West County Y has served more than 30,000 children with before and after-school child care in Parkway. We're so glad that Lori could be here tonight. Lori was at the Y when they opened and was responsible for launching that program. So thanks, Lori, for being here tonight. They certainly know what they're doing, and the YMCA of Greater St. Louis is actually the largest provider of child care services in the whole state of Missouri. So tonight we celebrate the nearly 32-year Y Club partnership, and even though the program is phasing out as we bring the program in-house with the community ed program, we want the Y to know how grateful we are for the strong relationship we've developed and for the wonderful services you continue to provide for our children and their families within the community. We fully expect that Parkway and the West County Y will continue to partner together in the future for the betterment of our students. So now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Denise and her team at the West County YMCA.
Couple more. Jeff Lackey, our Fine Arts Coordinator, to the podium to introduce our next honorees, and following him, our Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Dr. Chelsea Watson, will have also an introduction to some very special honorees.
President Jacob, Vice President Scorantino, members of the board, Dr. Marty Mistover. At this time, I would like to bring up and introduce two of our arts and education representatives present this evening, Katie Francis and Dorothy Powell. Katie Francis is the Vice President of Development, and Dorothy Powell is the Development Manager and our campaign representative for Parkway. Arts and Education is one of three campaigns Parkway staff annually contribute to. In the fall, we participate in the Parkway Alumni Association campaign and the United Way campaign, and in the spring, we participate annually in the Arts and Education campaign. Parkway began contributing to the Arts and Education campaign back in 1990. And Parkway staff have cumulatively contributed over $240,000 throughout the past 26 years. Throughout the past year, our fine arts staff worked to increase the district's awareness about arts and education campaign, and I'm happy to report that most buildings reached and exceeded their building goal, and we increased our total contribution by over 10% from last year's goal. And at this time, it is my pleasure to present this check for $15,000.17 from Parkway to the Arts and Education campaign as we look forward to continuing our partnership with the Arts and Education campaign for many more years to come.
Good evening, President Jacob, Vice President Mogerman, members of the board, Dr. Marty, Mrs. Stover. This evening, I have the pleasure of recognizing Councilman Harder and the Alliance for Healthy Communities, led by Director Ken McManus, for the collaboration on the Heroin Town Hall last April. Councilman Harder and Mr. McManus, would you like to join me at this time? Councilman Harder is joined by his executive assistant, Christopher Howard. You wave. You're going to come up in a minute. We'll let you sit for a little while. And Ken McManus is joined by his wife and 2 children. Will you all? If you'd like to come stand, that is absolutely, or you can wait. And also members of the board for the Alliance for Healthy Communities. Wait for a minute, and then we're going to have you come stand. We'll let you relax for a minute. Councilman Harder represents the St. Louis County citizens of the 7th Council District, which includes Baldwin, Chesterfield, Wildwood, Clarkson Valley, Ellisville, Eureka, some parts of Pacific, and a small portion of Manchester. The Alliance for Healthy Communities, they work to create a positive school community and community in general. More specifically, they help our community to feel and be empowered to make positive choices through knowledge, skills, and resources. The Alliance engages the community in activities to reduce youth substance abuse, risk of suicide, by raising our awareness. Last winter, Councilman Harder contacted Dr. Marty regarding partnering to offer an evening for parents in our community to educate them on the heroin crisis that we have here. So you can certainly see why we contacted Ken McManus to be a part of this conversation. After the initial meeting, the 2 of them began planning, with the goal being to increase the community alarm regarding the crisis of heroin and opiate addictions and overdoses. They developed an evening providing the opportunity for our community to hear from various stakeholders who shared the what, why, when, and how regarding heroin and opiates. In addition, we heard how we as parents and educators can better support our children as heroin continues to be of great concern in our community. This was indeed a very informative and, I must say, quite an emotional evening for those who attended at Parkway Central. It gives me great pleasure to recognize the 2 of you, along with the individuals that support your work and partner with you as you partnered with us here in the Parkway School District. So could I have the board members come to be recognized, and also Chris, come on down to be recognized as well. I also understand that we will have some remarks from both of you.
I just would like to thank Parkway, Dr. Marty, and everyone for including us in their priority around student and community wellness. Our coalition is young. We have been blessed with some very strong and committed community partners. But like any new organization, it takes opportunities in our collaborative capacity to maximize those, to get noticed and to get attention. If there's a silver lining in the horrible cloud of heroin and opiate addiction, it's that people are frightened. I want to thank very much Councilman Harder, who had not only the initiative and leadership to make this happen, but quite frankly, he's really good at putting these things together. Maybe another career as event planner would be well done. So thank you all, and we look forward to further projects. There's more work to be done, and we're not done. Thank you.
I too want to thank the board and thank everyone here at Parkway for giving us this opportunity to put this program on. It was a very strong success. We hope to do it in the fall and maybe into winter of next year, and maybe even spread it out into the Rockwood School District as well. This whole thing started, as Ken and others have said, basically over a cup of coffee. And it's one of those things, careful what you wish for. Because that's how these things start, and they get going, and you start bringing in people, and you start building that synergism, and things start to happen, and that's great. And it happened in a fairly short period of time as well. And we got Superintendent Marty's blessing, and away we went. So I want to thank everybody that helped us. We had about 20 or so presenters that night, both students and adults, and police officers and people from DEA and FBI and other agencies came to our support and put on this great program. So hopefully, if you see it in your bulletins, for school bulletins for the future, please plan on attending if you weren't there at that time. I'd also like to take a shout out to our police officers and some of the things that at the same time this was going on, I was proposing legislation in St. Louis County to get Narcan put in all the police cars, and that passed a while back for all St. Louis County police cars. And yeah, thank you. And to date, we've saved, the police have saved about 15 lives with that. And it does work when it's used properly and used in a timely manner. And then at the same time, since we had success with that, I proposed a resolution to have all the municipal police departments carry the same product or a like product in their cars. And since St. Louis County doesn't have control over the municipalities, we had to make it a resolution, and a lot of them were already doing it anyway, but they've jumped on board, and many of them are either in the process of doing it, and Chief Scott with Baldwin is in the process of getting that done for the city of Baldwin. So for those that live in Baldwin, you're covered, and will be fairly soon. So thank you, Chief, and all the police chiefs out there and all the hard work they do. Thank you again for this honor.
Outstanding individuals who do this for us. I can tell you, after listening to Ken McManus, I can never look at my medicine cabinet the same. We know that one of the ways that this whole addiction process starts is with some of the things that we have in our own cabinets that we think are innocuous that aren't going to be any harm, but it's how most of these people get started. So thank you again. Thank you all for joining us for this part where we've been honoring some of these people. We're going to take a brief break right now for a few minutes, and we'll resume the meeting shortly.
What?
I still feel like we're in summer. We're actually taking our summer vacation starting the 10th. So, and I have kids here. So it's, you know. So the next meeting I'll probably be joining by Skype because I'll be in Florida. So. It's hard to believe.
Switch user, I was in there earlier. So oh yeah, there you go.
How was your summer? Yeah. That's true. That's true. I was with somebody. Your sophomore year. Was it SS? Julie Pepper.
SS, yeah.
Julie Pepper was his high school. Like 2 or 3 years she had.
It's always been 2KWI.
You'll find out why.
I'll go look at one other thing. We have another break. We probably will have to take your time.
Whatever you can do.
Will gets picked on all the time. All right, are we, I'm ready. All right, they're starting to. Thank you. We'll continue with the board meeting. It was nice chatting with all of you, or many of you. 6.0, additions, corrections, and modifications to the agenda. 6.01, addendum to 11.05, approval of personnel items has been added. 7.0, citizen statements. I have a sign-up sheet here. There's 13 of you. Yes? When you come to, your name will be called when you come to the podium. If you would state your name and your address, so we're sure to get a response to you to the right place, and that it's written down correctly here, and that we understand it. And you'll have 2 minutes. So let me begin with, is it Anna Ricard? And if you'll kind of time. Yes.
Hello, I'm Anna Rickard. I live at 12005 Lake Mead Drive. I'm a senior at Parkway North High School, and first off, I just want to thank you guys for passing our new sex ed curriculum last year. When I first heard that we were going to get it, I was so excited. Like, there isn't even a word for how excited I was. I knew that despite, all the hate and the struggle that we had been going through, that you guys, that the district really did care for our safety. I knew that Parkway would finally be giving its students the ability to actually take care of ourselves and, take care of the queer students, the trans students. And in a school district where there's so many parents and teachers that consider, my sexuality to be a disease or a phase, actually being supported by you guys feels really great. And I know that as board members, you have the best interest of us students at heart, but recently I've been hearing things about removing the curriculum, which really does scare me because I'm afraid for my queer and trans siblings. And when I see things like lessons in the curriculum being referred to as a cancer, I really do get scared. I feel betrayed because, I know that you guys have my best interest at heart, but at the same time, I hear that you could be removing the one thing that keeps me safe. So I'm just asking you guys to continue to let the students learn. Let me learn. Don't leave your LGBT students unprotected just because you personally disagree with a part of their identity. LGBT students are still your students and you have a job to protect them. And this curriculum is really something that could do that. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Let me just remind you, we know that this is an emotional issue and one that you have great feelings about, and I just ask you not to any outbursts. Thank you. Andrew Bennett, please.
Hello, long time no see. Hi, my name is Andrew Bennett, 215 Runnymede. There's several things I could talk about right now regarding the sex ed curriculum. Of course, I'm talking about that. So the first thing I could talk about is how the NSES guidelines are, Parkway School District based the sex ed curriculum off of the NSES guidelines, which are categorized by age and what each age should know. I could also talk about how in states that have, and school districts that have brought in this comprehensive inclusive sex ed curriculum, the teen pregnancy rates have gone down, there's been less STDs and less bullying. But I'm gonna focus on safety because that's what I think that the main thing of a school district, no matter it be Parkway or any school district, should be. And it's part of this curriculum and it's what every member of this board should stand for, is safety. I've gotta be honest, most curriculums in school, I feel that they just ignore me. That they're just like, everyone else, and then those people, question mark, like being referred to as cancer, being referred to as a disease, and people saying, well, they're just not that big of a population. I'm sorry, but if they're big of enough a population that you can call them a disease and say that we're indoctrinating people, taking away people's safety is indoctrinating people. Since Sunday, we have had 500 people sign a petition that have said that they want this sex ed in Parkway to say, just in 3 days, 500 people. And I did this at the last board meeting, people who support this sex ed curriculum, people who support Parkway students, no matter who they are, I would like you to please raise your hand for this board to see. All of these people behind me right now, they support us. And that's what you were elected by the people to do, is support all Parkway students. I would just like to bring up, I thank you so much for passing through. And anytime that anyone would like to have a conversation, I'm always available. But this changed so many students' lives. I was not comfortable going into school. And I'm still not. I'm still scared. I shake every day, like worse than this right now. I shake every day going into school. I know that my time's up. I can see. I know that nod. It's every time. It's like, okay. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for passing it, and please protect it because it's what protects us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Lexi Smith. Lexi Smith.
Hello, Alexis Smith, 733 Gascon Drive. So I decided to keep mine like shorter, so sorry, and I guess you're welcome, maybe. So I just wanted to say thank you, like Anna and Andrew did, for adopting the new health curriculum, because I really do think that it's going to keep us safe, and I think it's important that even if some of the new subjects don't necessarily apply to every student, that it's important to have information, because it's like when you make a group of people more knowledgeable, then they can spread that knowledge onto people who do need it, and I think that's a really valuable thing to have. I only ask that you make sure that the curriculum is as effective in practice as it is in theory, and make sure that teachers are trained to teach information that they may not be familiar with necessarily already. But otherwise, by ensuring that students are taught about important subjects like consent and safer sex, because no sex is safe, but that in addition to abstinence, I think is going to ensure that Parkway produces more responsible, more knowledgeable students, and I can't thank you enough for that. So,
Thank you very much. Amy Shapiro.
Hello, my name is Amy Shapiro. I live at 12762 Hezel, Hezel Lane, Creve Coeur 63141. Okay. So, first off, I'd like to thank you all for accepting the mission statement of this new sex education program, because I graduated from Parkway in 2012, and we did not have anything like this. The Parkway mission statement says, the mission of the Parkway School District is to ensure all students are capable, curious, and confident learners who understand and respond to the challenges of an ever-changing world. Now, I have a cousin who passed away and who is gay. He was very shy, very scared of who he was, and would not tell anybody. He passed away from AIDS. Honestly, if he was able to learn about how to be who he was in a safe and well-taught environment with well-trained people and a safe environment around him, I think he would have felt more comfortable within my family. And that's very sad that he wasn't, even to me. So as board members, and I'm like going into education, so sorry. But as board members, think about the students and think about the way they feel. And everybody up there holding signs, just wanting to feel safe, feeling wanted, and feeling protected. Because that is a feeling that I wish my cousin had. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna Osborne.
Hi, I'm Anna Osborne, 1138 Shallowbrook Drive. I would like to start by thanking all the board members who voted in support of the new health curriculum. I'll be taking it this fall semester at North High. I have never been this excited to take a health class because I know it'll be inclusive of all my peers, no matter what their sexual identity or gender is. Not only is it inclusive, but it teaches about consent, which is not something everyone knows about, but it's key in having healthy relationships. Experts agree that Parkway has passed this curriculum in the best interest of the students. A study done in 2008 by the University of Washington showed that students who receive comprehensive sexual education are 60% less likely to have teen pregnancies than those who took a abstinence-only one. The United Nations Population Fund, also known as the UNFPA, recommends comprehensive sexual education. According to the UNFPA, it is taught over several years, introducing age-appropriate information consistent with the evolving capacities of young people. It includes scientifically accurate, curriculum-based information about human development, anatomy, and pregnancy. It also includes information about contraception and STIs, including HIV. And it goes beyond information to encourage confidence and improved communication skills. Curricula should be addressed to social issues surrounding sexuality and reproduction, including cultural norms, family life, and interpersonal relationships. I would like Parkway to be on the right, end quote, sorry. I would like Parkway to be on the right side of history as we reflect years from now. As the Parkway mission statement states, the mission of the Parkway School District is to ensure all students are capable, curious, and confident learners who understand and respond to the challenges of an ever-changing world. I believe,
Your time's up.
oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Dana Benedictus? Is Dana Benedictus here? No, thank you.
Hello, my name is Dana Benedictus. I live at 22 Nassau Circle. I am a Parkway parent of 3 boys. My oldest son, Jay, is 13, going into the 8th grade at Northeast, and my twins, Eric and Sam, are rising 4th graders at Craig. I am so incredibly grateful to Parkway and its administration. At the end of his 5th grade year, my son, Jay, came out as transgender. And Parkway has done nothing but support him, and help us as a family work through it. Especially Dr. Grace Lee at Northeast, Counselor Nikki Goldfader, and Dr. Chelsea Watson have thoughtfully guided Jay through every step of the way and have even implemented policies to help other transgender children. I will say that while there has been very few incidents of harassment or bullying that Jay has experienced, but when he has, the Parkway administration, again, has been incredible. They have met with both students and they've talked about the issues. And really, for all students to feel included and welcomed and accepted, this type of education is critically important. It has to continue. It has to stay, because all children must be welcomed. I can't imagine a harder transition than middle school and your gender at the same time. And my son has done it, and he has thrived, and I am so proud of him. He's here tonight. So again, thank you to everyone at Parkway. Thank you for keeping this curriculum in place and continuing to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'd like to keep the clapping. I know how you feel, but I'd like to be able to keep it going. Kayla Benjamin.
Hi, my name is Kayla Benjamin. I live at 13951 Cedar Grove Court. And I guess what I want to say is that you passed this, and we're really grateful that you passed this inclusive, updated sexual education program. But if you re-voted on it now, you're not even giving it a chance. We haven't looked at the data as to whether or not it helps Parkway or hurts it. So if you re-vote on it now, you're really kind of effectively showing that you don't really care what the real impact of this program would be. So my point is just that if you waited a few years and said, oh, well, the data shows that this is not a good thing for our school, I would understand that. But if you re-vote on it now, you're saying you don't care what the real impact of it, and you're really just looking at like these abstract moral ideas about what you think this program might be, rather than what this program actually does for your students. And it's clear that a lot of the student body believes that this is going to be a good thing for them and for their peers. So to re-vote on it now just doesn't seem to me to be progressive. It doesn't look as though you are caring about what the real impact of it is instead of just what you believe it to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Spencer Newberry.
My name is Spencer Newberry. I live in 15446 Mill Run Court, and I exist as a transgender student in Parkway. I support the idea of Parkway providing inclusive and comprehensive sex ed for my generation and future generations' safety. This education is proven to prevent teen pregnancy and STDs. The LGBTQ community is growing in Parkway each year, and it is important that we update education that includes every aspect of our district and the people in it. We are here for an education that we have a right to, and we are ready to stand up for it, and we hope that Parkway stands up for that too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one I have on here, I can't, the first name is just initial. The last name seems to be Cotton. Is that, okay.
Hello, my name is TJ Cotton, and my address is 5077 Durant Avenue, DSEG program student. And I'm a senior at Parkway Central, and I identify as an agender queer individual. I did not learn these terms through school because they were never acknowledged to exist. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the purpose of a school is to educate. I learned what X squared plus Y squared equals, but not what to do if a friend of mine or myself gets pregnant, because all the previous curriculum taught was abstinence. The only mention of gay was in relation to AIDS and how gayness caused it. Had I been introduced to these ideals earlier on, it could have saved me years of self-hatred and confusion. There are students, even my classmates, who run around in the hall screaming the words fag and tranny because they think that these words are synonyms for gay or transgender. They hate because they don't understand. It cannot be left up to GSA simply alone to teach what these things mean. What about those who have inactive and ones who don't have GSAs at all? Do we leave teaching human biology up to biology club? If I hear hurtful terms in the halls of my school, I don't even bother to tell the teachers anymore, because after a while I've come to learn that even though they may be uneducated in it and they may even be the ones saying these terms, again, this is a problem, obviously. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the job of a school is to educate us, not to withhold information that parents think we cannot understand or handle.
Thank you. Rebecca Velasquez.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Velasquez, and I live at 14164 Cross Trails Drive. First of all, remember to recycle. I am a rising senior at Parkway Central High School. There has been talk of Parkway going back on the inclusive sex education that was voted into the curriculum last year. I'm here to talk to you about how detrimental that would be to the students and to the community. The beautiful thing about Parkway is that it's such a diverse environment where kids of all walks of life can have acceptance. Especially, you guys took a step forward this year when you voted to have the inclusive sex education. All of the students that attend our school should have an education that fits to who they are as well. People should not be excluded just because they're not what people consider the norm. The world is changing and becoming a much more tolerant and inclusive place, and I think it's important that Parkway continues to keep up with this ever-changing society. I was lucky enough to have grown up with very open-minded parents. My mom helped me understand the female body and different aspects of sex when I was not taught this in school. When my older sister came out when I was 7 years old, I didn't know what being a lesbian meant. My mom sat down with me and told me that it was okay to love someone of your own gender. It was okay to be different. And because of her, I have grown up to be such a tolerant person because education promotes tolerance. I was not encouraged to be gay. It did not make me gay. I was simply encouraged to accept people. Throughout this whole fight, you have been hearing right-wing rhetoric that has been incorrect, and they have no facts or statistics to back up their opinion. Researchers at the University of Washington in Seattle found that teenagers who received some type of comprehensive sex education were 60% less likely to get pregnant or get someone else pregnant. And in 2007, a federal report showed that abstinence-only programs had no impacts on rates of sexual abstinence. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Our next citizen statement is from Bill Newcomb, and we need your address.
My name is Bill Newcomb. I live at 12422 Sparrowwood Drive, 63146. A group of 20 parents met with Dr. Marty yesterday. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with him. However, I came away very disappointed because A, there's no curriculum printed, it's not available, there's no resources yet that's been chosen. So we really don't know what's going to be in the curriculum. Most parents are going to spend more time investigating buying a new car, a computer, or a smartphone than they're going to probably spend determining what's in their sex education course for their children. We've entrusted our Parkway with our most treasured asset, our children. At this point, we have no idea what's really in the sex ed curriculum. When we as parents do find this out and we don't like it, we're going to be asked to opt out. Last night, it was the opinion of the parents that were at the meeting that if a parent wants their child to be taught a sex ed course with no values attached to it in the Parkway School District, perhaps they should be opting in, not forcing the program on everybody else that is not required by state law for graduation. This really comes down to a value issue. Sex education, unlike math and physics, has values involved. Treating sexual lifestyles all equal, is condoning them as all equal, is accepting them as all equal with equal consequences. They are not. They are not. They are not. You can teach the biology of sex, but there are disastrous consequences attached with choices. Not all choices have equal outcomes. Values, which I know will not be part of the curriculum, is really the issue. There are physical, mental, spiritual consequences that are going to be attributed to our children as a result of what we teach them in these classes. I hope the consequences that our children meet will not be disastrous ones, and that our students will become all that God wants them to be.
Bill, your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Drew Newman.
Excuse me. My name is Drew Newman, 12335 Country Glen Lane. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old in the district. The curriculum isn't the problem here. The problem is that so many parents and some board members are against it. For those of you opposed to this curriculum, you say that this type of education should be left to the parents, that it should be taught in the home and not in our schools. What if your child is LGBTQ? You've already made it clear where you stand. Will they come out to you? Will they even come to you for advice? What if they don't? Without this curriculum, where will they turn? Without this curriculum, who will protect them from bullying and harassment? According to the Trevor Project, LGBT youth are 4 times more likely, and questioning youth are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide as their straight peers. Nearly half of young transgender people have seriously thought about taking their lives, and one court report having made a suicide attempt. LGB youth who come from highly rejecting families are 8.4 times more likely to have attempted suicide as LGB peers who reported no or low levels of family rejection. Without this curriculum, who will protect your children from becoming another statistic? Anyone who belongs to a group called Protect Parkway Students should be in favor of this curriculum, because that's exactly what it does. Thank you.
Fran Hamilton. Fran Hamilton.
I'm Fran Hamilton. My address is 1316 Rustic View Drive, 63011. Parents were strongly polarized when the board discussed and approved the sexuality education curriculum early this year. Even the board was sharply divided on this important issue. Now I've heard that it has come to light that the curriculum violates Missouri law and that lawsuits against the Parkway District are in the works. It seems prudent in many ways for the board to reconsider this decision. Frankly, to me, it seems fiscally irresponsible not to do so in light of the lawsuit and repercussions from that. While there are some good things in the curriculum that was previously approved, I believe that Parkway can do much better than this, can come up with a sexuality education curriculum that will ensure student safety, promote students' respect for one another, and that will be more universally accepted among parents and the board, and will not violate state law. I urge you to seize this opportunity to make a better decision.
Thank you very much. Each of you will receive a response in writing. We thank you for your comments tonight. 8.0, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education scheduled for August 3rd, 2016?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Resolutions, there are none. Communications, 10.01. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 24th, 2016 at 7 p.m. here at Central Middle School with an anticipated closed session at 6 p.m. 10.03, board liaison reports. Are there any board liaison reports that board members, Beth?
Yay! Yesterday, several of us had the opportunity to take a tour of the construction projects that have taken place over the summer of 2016. I believe the district has spent or will be spending approximately $30 million from our most recent bond issue to make improvements so our students' lives can be improved when they go to school. I cannot be any prouder of our operations and construction team on the work that you guys have done. It's truly unbelievable. The thought process that goes into the development of these projects is so unbelievable. They think of every aspect, how it's going to affect the stormwater, how it's going to affect the environment, how it's going to affect the children, how it's going to, just so many different things that I would never have thought of. And I'm completely amazed at the work you guys do, and you and your subcontractors and your crew have my congratulations.
And the attention to efficiency and environmental awareness is just amazing. So great job. And there are now walls in all the Belle Reef open pods. So yay.
Any other liaison reports? I had the privilege of attending several kickoff meetings for school, some of them going back to the facilities picnic, which was great always. The people that keep our schools and our grounds like a show place are wonderful people, work very hard, and a lot of times they're in places where none of us would want to be in order to be able to do their jobs. Also, we had a kickoff meeting for our transportation people, the people that drive the buses and those that keep them going. That was this morning, and also We used to call it food services, now we call it nutritional services. I call it nuts. But all of them are great people, and your children are the benefactors of the great dedication that these people have. So it was wonderful to spend a little time with them and just tell them how much we appreciate them. Anybody else? Dr. Marty?
Go ahead.
I just want to comment on I attended the new teacher orientation and the new administrator orientation, and we're very, very fortunate to have outstanding, very caring, very dedicated new members of our school teams. So I just wanted to congratulate everyone who made those selections. They're very enthusiastic. They're ready to start. They've already been in their classrooms, and if they're teachers, and preparing them. The administrators are all already becoming part of their administrative teams at schools. So we have a great year to look forward to with new members of our teacher staff and our administrators.
Thank you.
I was going to just mention that Dr. Lombardi was our guest speaker with our administrative kickoff, the president of Maryville University. And we're very fortunate to have Maryville as a main partner, so he helped us kick off our administrative work. And then I just want to follow up. I want to thank Mike Mertens and his staff as students, and of course now that we have athletics started as well. All the work that goes in preparing for a school year should not go without some thanks. So Mike and your whole staff, thank you for getting our schools ready. They look great, and we're anticipating a wonderful year, even with all the construction, some delays with the weather. But thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, too. Our upcoming subcommittee meetings that the board participates in with finance and teaching, learning, accountability, and student services, those are currently not scheduled, but we're working on scheduling those for you. We'll have that calendar to you shortly. And consent items. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented here in the August 3rd, 2016 board materials?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything that needs to be pulled to action or closed that's among the consent items?
Yes. I need to abstain from 11.05, line 121.
So noted. Nikki, if you would note that, please. What was that again? Line what?
121. 11.05, 121.
Okay. Then may I have a all in favor of the consent agenda with the exception of Beth abstaining from 11.05, line 121?
Aye.
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 Okay. Aye. Anyone opposed? There are none. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. 12.0 action items. There are none tonight. 13.0 policy review. We do have a policy review. If I could ask Michael Baerlach to come to the podium.
Good evening. Do you have questions about the policy?
Any questions any of you have? I know this is supposed to be the final, I was just reading, it just kind of reads a little choppy. I don't know how you can improve it when you're looking at something called harassment-free. I thought free from harassment, then that doesn't sound very good in the entire sentence either.
Where's that?
That's right at the beginning. In an effort to maintain a safe and
harassment-free.
harassment-free workplace.
Okay.
I just thought it read a little bit better to say free of harassment, but.
Okay.
And uncivil behaviors, it's defined in here, but I guess that's something that's becoming more of an issue in the workplace.
The discussion with administrators about developing this policy, there aren't many instances where it would be called upon, but there have been cases where visitors or guests to our schools, we've had to intervene, ask for Dr. Marty's assistance in restricting some access to schools based on uncivil behavior with staff. So that was the discussion around why the policy was proposed.
Well, I agree, and I expect that the board does too, that people need to be respectful of one another regardless of how they feel. And being rude or using bad language, that just leads to further problems usually.
And it's probably very appropriate that we pass this right now in front of the election season before things get heated in the schools.
Yeah.
Did you check at all to see does MSBA have anything along these lines?
MSBA does not have a policy connected to this. We reference policies from other districts in the state, St. Louis districts, as well as in Kansas City, to see what other districts had, and we did have Tuath Keeney reviewed as well for their input.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I think this is another example of doing all we can to keep everybody safe. You know, this is an environment issue about, you know, the students, but certainly adults. We have a responsibility to keep all our individuals who work in our school or in our schools, visitors included, safe. So I think it's a policy that just reinforces our commitment to the safety of all.
Okay. Any other board members with comments or questions? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. 14.0 reports. This is one we look forward to. It's the 2016 report of summer projects and facilities review. Both Patty Bedborough, our CFO, and Mike Mertens, Director of Facilities, will guide us through the $30 million that we're spending this summer. It's the most we've ever spent in aggregate in Parkway in one summer. And,
a lot of checks.
And the rain did not help us in every case. Those of you who are, yeah, if you're over at Henry, then you realize that you can't pour footings when you got a foot of water waiting for it to dry.
And if it's the board's pleasure, we also brought up Scott Bennett, which is our manager of planning. He's going to highlight some of the projects that he spent a great deal of time on too. So good evening, Board of Education. I have the pleasure of working with outstanding leaders in our facilities department. Tonight, you will see some of the outstanding work they have done and led throughout the district this summer. As Michael entitled the first page, well, is it gonna, here we go, turn it on first. 2016, so many buildings, so little time. The clock is still ticking. We do have a week yet. Thank goodness, right? So as you mentioned, this is our biggest summer yet, $30 million in spending. So not all the projects will be complete by August 10th. The Henry addition and the North High additions will still be under construction during the school year. Security projects well underway for the last 12 months. That includes the film on our windows at our entrances. It includes our proxy cards, and Mike will go into a little more detail on which buildings have their proxy cards set up, and also our security cameras. Also, as an added benefit, we had over $500,000 this year in flooring. So that is carpet in a lot of areas where we had ADA access ramps added or installed, and libraries throughout the district. Not all throughout the district, but some libraries in the district got new carpet too. And you'll see in one of the slides coming up our West High Library. So some of the key focus areas, of course, always when they're planning the construction projects, they want to be very cognizant of the codes, the building codes for the multiple cities and municipalities and fire districts that we're under. So certainly fire code and fire marshals are some of our best friends, right? The building additions at Henry and North High, those are very big projects, and major renovations at 14 of our schools and some of our support buildings. So we're continuing to work on improving the school security. Mike's now going to go ahead and do a walkthrough of first his department's accomplishments, so some of his specific custodial maintenance objectives throughout the year, and then some of the projects then that have been handled from our contractors. Mike?
Thank you, Patty. I always enjoy this presentation every year, but and I get to be the one who gets to stand up and do it, but you can't do this without an incredible team of people behind you, and I mean my whole team. Everybody has a part in making this successful, and Scott's going to do part of this for us. But our custodial folks are just as important because not only do they have to get everything cleaned up during school, they have to clean up the projects after we're done tearing everything up and getting everything ready for the kids when they come back. We tried something new this year. We went back to a blitz cleaning on about 5 of our schools. That's where we take everybody out of a number of schools and just hit them with about 30 people. It takes about 3 or 4 days to clean up in elementary. We tried that out. It was successful to varying degrees, and Della's going to work on that. Della's the lead custodial supervisor, and she came up with that concept again and is pushing it forward. Cleanest School Awards. As you know, I think this is our 4th or 5th year of doing this now. Overall winner was Highcroft, so we had a new winner. The cleanest high school is West High. Southwest Middle was our cleanest middle school, and our elementaries were Barrett's, Craig, and Highcroft. So this is a neat concept because we really do have schools wanting the award. And when you have schools wanting the award, we get cleaner schools, and that's the good benefit of that. And it helps develop teamwork. Grounds, we've implemented a major reorganization in grounds over this last year. Increased the number of mow crews, changed how we handle the high school outpost, changed how we handle the athletic field maintenance. We're looking at streamlining operations at the high schools with this move, increasing the number and size of district mow crews and improving our ability to maintain our athletic fields. We've actually been able to hit every one of our athletic fields this year, both with aerating and proper chemicals and fertilizer, because we've got the size of a crew that can do that. Last year we had 1 person doing something like 50 athletic fields across the district. Now we have a team of 3. So we anticipate, and we're already seeing the improvement in some of our practice fields as well as our game fields. West High softball field was stripped and sodded this summer, which was a real challenge because some days it was 100 degrees. So when it was good to put it here, it was too hot to get the sod out of Cape. When it was good up here with no rain, it was raining in Cape. When it wasn't raining in Cape where we get our sod, it was raining here. So what we were hoping was going to be a couple-week project turned into about a 6-week project, but they got it all pulled together, rolled it out on last Sunday, and then it rained on it on Monday, so nobody's played on it yet. But we're going to be good to go with the West High softball field. That's we went from Bermuda to a hybrid bluegrass, and then you say, wow, why are you telling this, Mike? Well, first place we put the hybrid bluegrass was on Central High's infield at the baseball. Worked out very well. Coach was very happy. Then we put it over at North High. Again, very happy. This is our 3rd field, and now we're going to be looking at it also putting it on West High's baseball infield in the fall instead of Bermuda. One of the things with the Bermuda is it's a warm season grass. So guess what it does in the fall? It goes dormant, and it doesn't go green until June. So we're thinking that this would be a better option for us on our fields where we're playing in cool weather. We'll get more use out of our fields. And then we're also exploring further improvements to athletic practice surfaces across the district. Maintenance, 9 of our elementary schools were converted to adventure clubs. So we did 9 2 years ago, and we finished those up this year. And that included casework, shelving, electrical upgrades, painting, and the entry awnings. Security cameras have been installed, again, basically by 1 person, Mursad. He's our low voltage tech, and he handles our camera installations. They're finished at Fern Ridge, Northeast Middle, and North High for the north area, so it's complete. And West Middle and West High are complete, so next we move on to South. And we'll be doing South, Southwest Middle, and South High. Brock's card readers are installed in the West area schools, so they're all complete. And the majority of the South area schools, I think we're at either South or Southwest Middle now, and they'll be going to South High. And we should have those wrapped up pretty much by the end of August, and then we'll be moving on to the next area. Of course, we do HVAC coil cleaning all summer, filter changes, and we spent a lot of time over the last year expanding our preventive maintenance program into all areas of both maintenance, and now we're including grounds and some custodial. And now to the pictures and the projects. And I can't say enough about Scott, his group, and also James Swingle, who is our lead construction supervisor. It was interesting. We had 2 rookies out of our 4 construction supervisors going into our biggest year. James, who was our electrical engineer, project manager, who worked for Scott, took over for Tim Madden, who resigned and went to Colorado to be closer to his kids, and they're downsizing. And then we also brought in Toby Clodfelter from the outside. So this is Toby's first year with us. So, and there's 4. So 50% of our construction supervisors were sort of thrown into the mix, and I think they all performed really very well. This is Belle Reve. We did a number of different projects at Belle Reve. It's a before and after shot. You can see the old steps on the left, and then on the right is the new steps and ADA ramp. We did 2 of these to make 2 areas more accessible in Belle Reve, and then new carpets, handrails, paint. Outside of Belle Reve, we put in a new parking lot, and it's in one of our new paver lots. Scott's going to talk a little bit more about pavers and why we're moving to pavers when we talk about North High. But the pavers in this case allowed us to meet an MSDA need and requirement. And like I said, I'm going to let Scott talk more in depth on the pavers and why we're moving that way for certain applications, not all. Claymont asphalt playground, as you can see, that's asphalt, big piece of ground there, but we didn't go to pavers. And stormwater improvements in the courtyard. That picture doesn't show up real well, but that's the courtyard that's sort of back behind in the middle of Claymont. Every time it rained, the way that was all sloped and the like, we would get water through door 6 every time we had a bad storm. That's been totally re-sloped. They have the smaller pavers and a good storm. We've had a number of rains now and not a drop's got in the building. And this is one of 2 ADA ramps we also installed over at Claymont, making things more accessible and safer. I'm going to hand it over to Scott and let him talk a little about Henry.
Good evening. Mike gives me the one that's not finished, so. Henry, as you'll recall, we're adding actually 3 additions onto the building, a 4-classroom addition on the north end of the building, 2 additional kindergarten classrooms at the south end on the front of the building, and a strings classroom at the back of the building. And that will also then allow us, once those are complete, to get rid of the long overdue removal of the modular classrooms that are on their last months, I think. We've had a lot of setbacks on the front parking lot. As people have been driving by may notice, it's not as far advanced as we'd like. In June, we had lots of problems with utilities that were in our property that weren't supposed to be on our property and getting those moved. And then July hit and the rains came. So we're anxiously waiting some dry weather to try and wrap up the front parking lot. We have made temporarily striped the asphalt play area down behind the school to serve as an interim parking lot until we can wrap that up. We need about 4 or 5 days of good weather to wrap the parking lot up at the front. The steel is started on one of the additions. So we've got the footings and foundations in, and are actually starting to get the steel structure erected there. On the inside of the building, do we have more than one? Yeah. So this is a picture here on the back. Well, we'll go back here. The front is showing you some of the utility construction that we put in. That's actually the new water service that we installed to the building. Those 2 pyramid shapes on the left are the water meters for the meter boxes for the fire and the domestic water lines. We also have natural gas coming through, electric, telephone, so lots of utilities coming into the building. This is a picture around back showing where the new strings classroom will be built. One's from further away on the left and then closer up on the right where we're putting the footings and foundations in. And the steel is actually up now on that structure. The parking lot in the front, all the curbs are poured. We have a rather large retaining wall, segmental block retaining wall that's been constructed along Henry Road. That is wrapped up. All the curbs are poured. So basically we're waiting for some dry weather to finish putting the permeable paver systems in on the parking lot and get that wrapped up. On the interior of the building, This summer, we changed the handrails out on the main stairwell as you go to the back of the school, brought those to within code. Also, the stairs and the guardrails at the library overlook on the hallway have all been replaced. We also put in an ADA an ADA ramp in as you walk in the front door. Those that are familiar with the building and turn left, there used to be stairs there. We've now put an ADA ramp in there to make that wing accessible. And we're putting in, it hasn't been delivered yet, but we've cut out the stairwell and are ready to put in basically it's a long throw chairlift, which is like an elevator. It'll have its own enclosure, and that will allow people to get down to the kindergarten level. We're still trying, weather's put us a little behind. We were anticipating being done the end of October. We're reassessing the schedule right now to see if we can still find a way to make that end date. But that was the original plan, was to finish by the end of October. And we're assessing as the weather goes along to see if there's any way we can make that schedule back up. And we'll keep people posted on that.
Thank you, Scott. He loves talking the details, so we give him the big ones. Over in McKelvey, we finished up phase 2 of the fire sprinkler installation. That also included replacing 4 of the rooftop units, so they've got all new rooftop units in that area now, as well as a lot of carpet replacement. So you can see how that's one of our new rooms with the carpet in. We've put a lot of new, I know that you guys saw it out there. I think it looks nice. It really sharpens up the sights, and it's so much better than just straight valley blue. Down at Oak Brook, we replaced the asphalt drive back around the back of the school, and then the back playground, as well as that particular basketball court. A large ADA ramp that goes back off the back of the school to those asphalt playground areas. And then we also replaced 3 condensing units on the roof, the 3 main condensing units. The one on the left is your old one, and then you can see the new ones are smaller and more efficient. They were, I believe, original to the building, and so that should make quite an improvement. I know that our maintenance folks are going to be very happy because we replaced a number of compressors as they were getting older. And then we also replaced about 50% of the carpet at Oak Brook. That was all mostly original also, and that's the front entrance area there. And it just looks sharp and looks nice and clean. Riverbend Elementary, one of the pieces of that large project was renovating the nurses area. We also replaced every window and all of the unit ventilators and condensing units for the classrooms. And then we also replaced the rooftop units which services the library. So that was a very large project for us. I think we replaced about 95% of the HVAC, all the windows and doors, and renovated the nurses area at Riverbend. Shenandoah, we renovated the life skills lab and some minor air conditioning, as well as we're still finishing up the playground area in back. It's an asphalt job, and again, that job didn't start until after summer school. Shenandoah had summer school, so they were on a very abbreviated construction schedule through this year. Wren Hollow had a number of projects. The most visible was replacing the asphalt circle drive out in front, which had really become into almost, looks like somebody made it into a bombing run. And so it's all cleaned up and looking very sharp now. And we placed a number of roofs. There's a before and after shot of one of the main roofs over at Wren Hollow. Our roofer will be very happy because he probably spent about 30% of his time at Wren Hollow repairing roofs. They were really due. West Middle, we replaced, this is where we took you down into the bowels of West Middle and got you into where all of the mechanical equipment was kept. Replaced 4 large HVAC air handling units. We added a gym HVAC to the big wood floor gym. And then we also replaced the drive that connects West Middle to West High. And that finishes, we did the drive behind the West High by the stadium last year. So that full drive is now complete and in good shape. Central High, this is a little bit of a throwback. We replaced 2 HVAC units over spring break. And they were large units and they serviced the gym. And I'm going to hand it back to my friend Scott, and he's going to talk a little bit about North High.
So North High, we're doing basically, there's 2 packages there. A package A, which we're in construction on now. There'll be a package B that gets bid out this fall for next summer's construction. Package A is basically replacing the roofs on the building, the north parking lot, and building the addition onto the music addition onto the fine arts wing of the building, and changing the chillers out, 2 of the 3 chillers. We replaced 1 already, and we're going to wrap up with the other 2 with this project. That's a picture of the North High parking lot. The picture on the left was about a week ago. The picture on the right is what it looks like now. The parking lot on the north end is basically, and with all of these permeable pavement projects, is underground detention. Allows us to not have to take valuable space up with surface detention basins like, for example, we have out by the administration building, which then can't be used for anything. And at North High, as we know, the available ground is limited. So it allowed us to not only offset how much detention we had to do by basically making that a permeable surface rather than an impermeable surface, which a concrete or asphalt parking lot would be. So that reduced the amount of retention, but it also allowed us to put it under the pavement and avoid taking away green space. It's also larger than the old parking lot. We're planning ahead. The master plan for North High, as it is implemented over time, will at some point take some parking spots away from the south parking lot. So in anticipation of that, we made sure that those parking lot spaces were made up on the north lot. And of course, all the new lighting for the parking lot is LED, as we have around the rest of the district for energy savings. Picture of the roofer's crane. There's, a couple 100,000 square feet of roofing that we're trying to replace on that, on fairly steep slopes. The rain has really kind of put us behind there. We have been in constant, basically working daily with the school and the contractors on a schedule of how to finish up and still keep it safe and still be able to have school. We'll be working early up till Tuesday of next week. And then after that, we're going to go to Saturdays to finish up on what the little few things that are left to do, so we won't impact school with noise or any safety issues. And then the south end of the building where the addition's going on, all the utilities have been relocated, installed, et cetera. As normal, getting out of the ground, we found utilities that we didn't know were there and had to take and address those. Every time we seem to dig a trench, it rains and fills it up with water, so we have to pump that out and then let it dry out. What you see on the right is you have a trench dug to start putting in the foundations for the addition. It sits on piers. All the piers have been dug and poured. There were 33 piers, I think, for that building that we got installed already. So it should start coming out of the ground here in the next few weeks, hopefully. And it's due to be wrapped up, I believe, in January right now is the schedule, early January, to wrap the addition up.
Thank you. Some of the smaller projects we did was we replaced the freezer cooler in South High. So this is down in the nutrition services area. We resurfaced the tennis courts at Central High. All of our tennis courts are on an asphalt base and over time can crack. This one had cracks, so we had a professional service come in and seal the cracks and resurface the court for us. We did that also at West High last year. We're really watching our tennis courts closely, and we want to make sure we maintain a good surface on those. Don't let them get out of control and get behind on that. West High, we did a number of projects, but we placed a lot of roofing over at West High. Gym A, we're working on the Fine Arts, the theater building now, and a lot of roofing in between. And we also installed a couple of ADA ramps. This one is right by the cafeteria. There's another ADA ramp we had installed in the pool area, so that made the pool accessible from the outside hall. And this is a little dark, but we renovated the library. And so there's new electrical in the floor, all new carpeting. The school bought some new shelving and some new furniture, and it really, really looks sharp. So if you get a chance to get over to West High, I think you'll be impressed of what Jeremy's group and Doug Stevens work. The two of those guys got together and put together a pretty good little program. We even did something for administration this year. We didn't want to leave them out of the mix. We upgraded the electrical generator, and this one backs up the entire building. The original generator just backed up IT and their equipment, so that if we lost power, they stayed up, and all of our phones and data, we didn't lose anything in a power outage. This system not only backs up IT through their battery backup, it also backs up all of admin, so they can nobody gets to go home now in a power outage. Sorry, Desi. Fern Ridge, we have the Wing B, which is not the high school, but the wing to the right of the high school, or the left as you're looking at the campus. Replaced all the HVAC, electrical upgrades, and then replaced all the windows in that wing. We also installed we're not replacing, but installed a new ground shed, lean-to, so we have a place to keep our equipment that right now sits outside in the weather. We also did some improvements over transportation. We modified and upgraded the shop bays, both for the plumbing side, as well as we put on air handler units, and now these units can handle all of our equipment, including the CNG buses, in any of the bays. So we meet code for any work that the mechanics need to do on our equipment over there in transportation. We also replaced all of the upper lots with concrete. So we took up the old asphalt. That's a before and after. It looks very similar, but on the left is all gravel, on the right is all new concrete with the buses on it. They were working diligently today, putting in the asphalt, filling in where the asphalt met the concrete on the backfill. And I anticipate the lines going down shortly for the buses, and we'll be using that. If they pass the concrete tests on Friday, I'm sure we'll be putting buses on there 10 minutes after we pass the test. So we're real close to getting him out of those parking lots at Central High and back over on his lot. Other projects. So that was all the major projects that we did on the bond issue. Other projects, we did Mason Ridge entrance enhancements. So we moved the secretaries from one end of the building to the other. The school wants to use that more as the main entrance. So we're setting that up as an area there where they can funnel visitors through that office area and have a little more control. We modified a hallway in West Middle for congestion improvements, and it was basically neck down with the doors. We opened that up, and that should help with just the middle school kids moving in and around those hallways. We added a library room at McKelvey, so a small addition there. We made some major concrete repairs on the Belle Reeve Bridge that goes across from the parking lot to the main office, and then sealed it. We did some renovations of the Henry nurses area and put a new changing table in there for the nurse. We installed a new playground over at Early Childhood, and things are all coming together on that. We're going to be putting down the rubber surface Friday and Saturday, and we're hoping that all of the playground equipment, I think, is supposed to be delivered either today or tomorrow, and we're working with the contractor and our folks jointly to get that all done for Elena over there at Early Childhood. South High press box upgrade will start this fall. South High scoreboard installation will start this fall. So that will be our fourth and last scoreboard installation on the football fields. We also replaced the 2 large sand filters at the West High pool when we lost one of those, and so we replaced both of those. That pool is already, as you notice, that pool's been up and running, so it was a good little project for us. We installed light and marquee at Shenandoah with the PTO over there. West High Stadium entrance lighting, our electricians worked closely with Scott Bowman and his team to get that installed. We're buying we bought Hannah Woods partitions so that they can utilize their space a little bit better. I think there's 4 or 6 areas they're going to put the partitions in. And we're also moving the Hannah Woods crosswalk for safety. Moving forward, we've identified the next year's projects. Scopes have been done. We're already started design work. It never ends. So when we're wrapping one up, we've already been working on the other one for about 5 months, 6 months, yeah. So the guys we're in a constant state of movement. And our performance contract team has been chosen for the summer work that will be done at Central and South High. So we'll be using a performance contractor, a lot of roofs, some HVAC work, that type of thing. We'll be using a performance contractor on those 2 schools. And that's our theme for the year, discover the leader in you. And so I'm challenging all 275 facilities folks to discover the leader in themselves. Any questions?
I'm exhausted. It was great to see so much that we got to see and how it's coming together. And you know, even some of the old stuff when they would take the wax and stuff off some of the tile floors, and they're just shining like they're brand new.
I'd tell you, Cynthia, she said they hadn't, I don't know how long it's been since that tile floor hadn't been stripped or whatever over at West High, and Cynthia and her team did a marvelous job on that floor. Wasn't that something? I was just, it was fascinating. Yeah, it looked like water, didn't it? It was really, really, really nice.
Yes, Beth.
You were talking about the tennis court resurfacing.
Mm-hmm.
I had a neighbor of Northeast Middle talk to me about the tennis courts over there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what kind of shape they're in?
They're not in good shape. None of the middle school tennis courts are in good shape. I've been talking with Mike Roth, and also we've been talking with Ron Ramspot about repurposing those courts. And one of the things that we're looking really hard at is, can we go with a 12 by 12 open tile, clean the courts up so they're flat, put the tile on top, and then with the tile being higher than the asphalt, if it rains, it's a surface that could be used after rain or the like, could be used for a lot of different things, not necessarily tennis. Mm-hmm. But we've got a big flat spot there that's already there. Is there something we can do to use that surface in a different way? So I'm working with Mike, and Mike's working with Ron, and the 3 of us are trying to come up with something that we could use, that would be used at Northeast Middle and at South Middle. And then the tennis courts at West Middle aren't in as bad a shape, and they're still being used. We're not sure what's the right way to go with West Middle, but South Middle and Northeast Middle, we really see that can we repurpose that, leave the fencing up, they can use it for games of some sort and the like. So.
Yes, Steve, please.
So with all of the HVAC replacements and the lighting improvements, does anyone have an estimate what that will save us?
I do not have one in my hip pocket, but I bet you Eric Leaders does.
His ears perked up, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you say? But you'll let us know when you figure that out, right?
Yeah. And I know Eric's very excited about when we put the 2 remaining chillers in at North, because they're going to make a major improvement in energy use. The one that we put in already is it's just blown us away with the money we've saved on
And all the
electric. So,
maintenance savings. too.
yes. Yeah.
Great, that's very exciting.
Very good. Any other? Thank you so much, and I just want to put a shout out to our constituents too, because it was that 2014 bond issue. We never take them for granted. It was a heck of a lot of money, and it's being spent wisely and all for the benefit of students and teachers. So we're proud of what you've done, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and we really enjoy what we're doing, and we're glad we'll be able to do what we do for the kids.
Thank you very much. I did want to too, I kind of missed earlier, I think there are some students here from Missouri Baptist, is that right? Ms. Lorenz said that we should recognize you, and we do want to do that, so thank you for being here. Are you studying education or school boards or?
School administration.
Well, thank you for being here, and good luck in your education too. Okay, 15.01. Paul Tandy, our Chief of Communications Officer. We have a big project that we're doing in Parkway, which is reviewing all of our policies. MSBA is a partner with us in that, the Missouri School Board Association. Their attorneys are helping us review each and every one of them. This is section C that Paul's going to help us go through as a work project tonight. It's not a very big section, so it's a good one to get started with.
Yes, sir. MSBA actually recommended we start with this one for that in mind. It was a little shorter and hopefully would be a nice kind of dip your toe in the water in the project. So, and just as a reminder, this is a work session, so we're not asking for any sort of decisions tonight or votes or anything like that. This is just an opportunity for you to see MSBA's recommendations mainly in terms of how to reorganize Section C, and then what we have done as the administration has then taken what MSBA was recommending and looked at it from our lens to see if there were things that we still thought needed to be adjusted and so forth. Again, this is a fairly small section, and we're learning how best to do this. So one of the things I would hope you could give us is feedback on how to make this process as easy for you as we can. I gave you a hard copy tonight because what we found at Superintendent's Action Team is, even though we want to go paperless with all of this, it just seemed to help us to see it and be able to just sort of hack on it with a pen. And so we need to work with you on how best to do that.
Next time, maybe we could get this earlier.
Earlier, yes.
It was really hard to
We will definitely get that to you earlier, and particularly as these sections get larger, you're going to need more time. So we will definitely, Nikki and I will make sure we do that.
Mike will make the rounds,
Mhm.
which he hasn't done in a long
Right,
time.
and just as a reminder in the documents you have, so MSBA's gone through and you'll see there's some summary sheets where they try to show you there's some policies that they've consolidated, a few that they're eliminating because they don't recommend them, and then there's others that they recommend adding, and that's in your summary sheet. But then in the actual policies themselves, those yellow sections, those are the items that they've pulled from our existing policies, and then just the white part is their language. And then the little marks that you'll see, the annotations where you'll see little comments and so forth, those were from Superintendent's Action Team. And in your handout, at the end, whenever there's a comment from Superintendent's Action Team members, you'll have a little explanation on the next page of what that particular annotation was. In most cases, it was a minor thing where they had a word one way, like maybe a director, and we wanted to have it be manager or coordinator or something like that. Most of them were pretty minor.
So the yellow, the highlighted sections are what they added?
Those are those are the
what we
material
added.
that they've pulled from our existing policies.
So in a new policy, they will not be?
No, those would all be there. They're just trying to show you
not pulled out of,
their
and
comment or
combined.
their language with our existing language that they've merged in.
So we're
And
not really looking at individual policies tonight? for
Well, you're looking at
suggestions.
all those within, there's, what is there, about 10 or so within section C.
Not for approval.
Yeah,
just
just
for-
for
Not
the
for, no,
process.
not for approval, just, and what would be fantastic is, since, sounds like you need more time, and I've given you the hard copy, maybe Nikki, if you see comments that or changes that you would like to see or questions and so forth, just mark them on there for us, and we will collect those and add them into the document. And so our intent is, per MSBA's guidance, is we would come back to you with each section as we go, giving you as much time as possible so you can kind of digest it. But when we come forward with these longer sections, it's going to take some time on these agendas to do it. But I think in the long run, it will be great. Once we get there, it's just going to be a time-consuming process in the interim. This section is fairly general, as you can see.
So one specific thing that I thought maybe as a board we should talk about, and that's on the recruitment and appointment of the superintendent. The second sentence says, the board will conduct an active search to find the individual believed most capable of putting into action the policies of the board, blah, 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 blah. My issue with that is that would require any board to have an active search, and there might be a specific circumstance that the board decides not to have an active search. And do we want to require a future board to do that, or do we want to leave it up to the future board to make that decision?
And I think part of that depends on how you define what is an active search.
Right.
Because that's,
To me,
it's a little
that's pretty-
unclear.
yeah.
And you'll notice this is their language. So this is, and it's only 2 paragraphs long, but it's a policy that they recommended.
But we always say we don't want to tie the hands of a future board, and that, to me,
Mhm.
kind of does, so. that
So
was
you
just
could
my
add
comment.
some clarifying language in there,
Maybe.
like, an unless or that sort of
Unless,
thing.
yeah.
And if you have some specific ideas, you can just write them on there.
Okay.
And then we can pull up the document and make that correction.
Is the word active a concern?
Yeah.
So maybe just a search, huh? Because what you're suggesting is that it suggests you have to hire a firm. Or,
Right,
and it's,
or
yeah.
something like that. And maybe there's a circumstance that
Mhm.
the board doesn't want to do that.
Right.
What's that? You need to talk into the microphone. We can't hear you.
If the board doesn't do it, then how will that happen?
The board will decide at the time.
Oh.
It'll always be the
So-
board.
Right, oh.
We hope.
Yeah.
So there are occasions when you will name an interim
Right.
for just a temporary period of time. And then at times I know you have contracted out to have a firm, and other times you've selected or elected not to
Right.
hire a firm.
Paul, maybe for the sake of our audience, so they're not just wondering what, you could talk a little bit about what this section is, just briefly. I mean,
This particular policy is titled Recruitment and Appointment of the Superintendent, and it's about 2 paragraphs long. It's being recommended by the Missouri School Boards Association, and it basically spells out in very general terms the process that the board will utilize to recruit and select superintendents.
And the whole section C is about general school administration and
Correct.
policies relating to that.
Things, topics such as evaluation of the superintendent, evaluation of key administrators, principals, and so forth, just general administrative guidelines, general administration of the district. State and federal programs. That's about it. Superintendent's contract and school handbooks.
And the time had come that it was, our policies have grown over the last 20, 30 years. And it's probably, in some cases, not consistent, and we've never really had anybody help us do a review like this.
Right.
And that's the way we govern the district. It's the 7 people couldn't do it if we didn't have good policies.
And as you will see when Section K comes, again, it'll be a little, a fair amount larger. There are a number of policies that they're recommending we just get rid of. And it's been great, because as I looked at several of them that pertain to me, I thought, yeah, what is the purpose of that policy, really? After I read it. So, and to your point, also looking at where we have some duplication, where we can consolidate, and I think we all are for that. And they're, you know, this is what they do. They have some people that are very, very good at this sort of thing. I've been really impressed with them.
So, and going henceforth, so if there's changes in state statutes or federal law,
They'll
then their listing of, you know, the same listing coincides, and so they can give us updates. And so it just makes it a lot easier, because when we went kind of on our own, or with the help a little bit of Tuath Keeney or other sources, but this is a lot better in terms of maintaining policies for the future.
And
We went rogue.
We went rogue. We went rogue.
And those of you who've been on the board for a while, you're very familiar with policy and guidelines.
Right.
Their acronyms are policies and procedures, or administrative procedures, they call them. So what you will see in the future is the extension on the files will be .bp for policy, but then .ap for the procedures that support the
Well, maybe we
policy.
still want to be a little rogue.
Well, that certainly is up to, that's certainly is up to you. So we will make sure we give you plenty of time, and then please let us know when the next one comes, if you don't feel like we've given you enough, and we'll take the time that we need to do it. I'm kind of glad they selected this one as our first one, because it's not that difficult. K is not all that bad either, but then after that, they're going to start getting kind of difficult, and after K, they're going to let us have some say-so on which ones we want. They kind of, for our own benefit, decided to tell us what the first couple should be, and I think they were right on with that.
Just like the administrators, when we had some questions about why, I mean, we're talking about lawyers over at MSBA who are doing this, so they may not be as sharp as Margaret, but they're pretty good. But they'll give you a reason why. You know, they'll say, well, we recommend this because of, you know, whether case law or reasons why they really.
And you'll see there's some of that in here. For example, prior to the principal evaluation, there's a page that references the state laws that kind of led them to do this, and why the state Department of Elementary Secondary is recommending, and that sort of thing. So they do provide that. That's helpful.
Paul, if I have a question or I need some kind of a clarification, I can send you an email regarding these policies.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, the devil's in the details, but that's what we got to get into with this. So
you'd like us to kind of go through and mark it up?
I would feel
Return it
free
to
for you to mark it up and then just get it back to Nikki, write as legibly as you can, Dr. Marty.
You must have seen my handwriting.
Nikki can interpret pretty well. But then we will combine them back into the electronic document before we would bring it back to you.
So I will admit, at home, I still have my 2 board policy books that I got when I first got on the board, and when policies would change, they would send us a packet, and we'd have to pull out the pages
Right.
and reinsert them, and I'm glad those days are over.
That was before my time.
It was before your time. It was right when we first got on board.
Well, hopefully that stack, if we printed it out, will end up being a shorter stack when
Yes.
we're finished with this.
Okay.
So, timeline for this, I mean, I know it's kind of been pushed back, and we've also got a lot of curriculum review this year, we're expecting, so.
It's a great question. I think we don't know what we don't know at this point, because there's a couple of sections that, you know, curriculum, for example.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just a lot.
Right.
So I really can't imagine we'll get it done by the end of this school year.
Yeah.
I'd
I
like to
think-
think we would, but I just know reality.
Right.
So
We entered this project, know it's going to take a while,
Yeah.
but I think we want to advance it, and I think, you know, last year we started, and now this year I think we would like to wrap up a couple sections. Well, when I say wrap up, I mean, there's always going to be
Sure.
changes, because there might be a, you know, cross-referencing even from other policies, but.
Or changes in the law.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
I think we'd like to move along several, what do we have, 9 sections of policies, how many?
about.
9. So I mean, we'd like to get maybe 3 or 4
Yeah.
advanced this
Yeah.
year.
The sooner the better, obviously, because things are changing, and, you know, we need to get these done so that we can just get back into a regular cycle of review.
Thank you for your hard work. I know it's a lot on your plate.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. 16.0, call for special meeting. There is none. 17.0, next scheduled closed session. The next anticipated closed session will be held on Wednesday, August 24th, 2016 at 6 p.m. at Central Middle School. Details of the closed session will be posted within 24 hours of the anticipated meeting. And may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned. And there is no close to go to. Thank you.